Hello, hello, and welcome to Coffee with Kass. We're talking about 7 steps to flawless communication in relationship, right? A lot of times people have an idea of what flawless communication is, and what flawless communication is about is being authentically you, right? So a lot of times in relationships, we are not being ourselves, we're being going into reaction based on other people's actions or reactions. And what I'd love to invite you to today on this half hour free Zoom, which I'm doing a couple of times a month, is to look at it from a different perspective. And some people don't even like relationships, right? Some people actually find it difficult to be in a relationship with someone, whether it be an intimate relationship, whether it be a lover or a husband or a wife or a partner. They actually don't aren't able to find an equilibrium, a balance, a sort of harmony in relationships. And even in friendships, sometimes it's so funny. Once I was my first, advanced class with Access, so 15 years ago, there was a woman who said, was talking about relationships and a friend of hers, and she said to the woman, "I'm not doing friendship this year." It was so funny. And I looked and I was like, wow, can you say that? Can you do that? Can you not do friendship? Um, but what if it's all just a choice, actually? And what if we were approaching our relationships with other people uh, from a position, from a space that is comfortable for us, right? And how do you make it comfortable? How do you have ease with relationships, even when sometimes there's arguments, there's disagreements, there's difficulty, right? How does that work? The thing that with the 7 steps and to flawless communication, which is a little teeny little book that is easy, simple, easy, and small, uh, but a bit profound, if you will, like us, right? Sometimes we're not willing to be so simple. We want to make things complicated. And what if, in English, we have an expression which is KISS, KISS, which is keep it simple, sweetie, or keep it simple, stupid, sometimes they say. But keeping it simple, always being willing to go back to you, right? And that's a bit what the 7 steps invites you to the first phase in flawless communication is about connecting with you and knowing what your energy is, what your vibration is, what it is that works for you and what doesn't work for you, and what is negotiable, right? And what absolutely does not work for you. Like one of the things that doesn't work for me is violence, physical violence. It doesn't work for me. You know, some people it works for. They love to have uh, fights, physical fights, and then kiss and make out. That doesn't work for me. But for some people it does. They don't have a point of view about it or a judgment about it. It's what works for you that you really have to be clear on. And how do you know that? How do you know what works for you? How do you know whether it is something that works for you or doesn't work for you? Or if it's something that maybe you've bought from someone else, maybe you've seen or heard or read that this is not the way you're supposed to do relationships. So if this ever shows up in your life, then you have to stop it. It's different for everyone. So really this first phase of connecting with you and knowing what it is that makes you feel comfortable, that makes you feel joy, that makes you interested in maintaining and exploring and developing and growing relationships. It's important to know, have a connection with you and know when you are feeling uh, it could be tranquil, right? It could be happy. It could be that your heart sings. It could be that you're feeling good in your own skin. and acknowledging and recognizing what kinds of atmospheres, whether it be a physical atmosphere, like being in the mountains, which is awesome, being in the sea, right? Being in nature. I actually like also big cities. I grew up in Boston. I lived in New York for years. I lived in Paris and I live in Rome. I really like the energy of big cities. So that's actually comfortable for me. For some people, it's not. And if you're in a relationship that is obliging you to be in a physical environment that is not comfortable for you, then you have to consider whether or not you're willing to change that or able to change that and adapt and get used to that physical atmosphere, or if you're not, you know? And so when you're looking at relationships, not only is it about physical environments, but it's also about the energy, right? The space, the the vibration, if you will, of an environment. Some people really love to argue, you know. Some people really love to judge, and it's the way what they're used to, and it's not wrong or right, because if you're in a relationship with someone that loves to argue, if you're willing to argue with them, then they feel comfortable and maybe that works for you. What is it that you have to do to make them feel comfortable? And if that works for you, and when they do feel comfortable, then they stop arguing, then that's actually something that may make you feel comfortable after a while. But if the initial arguments or fighting, with words, or disagreeing, or debating, because a lot of people like to debate. You say something and they say, no, that doesn't work because of this, or no, that's not true, and they go back and forth, and then you give data, and that proves that it is true, and then they argue about that data, and then in the end they agree with you, but you've just spent 20 minutes you know arguing. And some people like that adrenaline rush. For some people that actually works. You feel engaged, like you're doing something, like you're not just the whole time, and that's fine. But you've got to be honest with yourself. There's an expression that is, be as honest with other people as necessary, and be as honest with yourself as possible. So what is it that works for you in relationship? What is it that makes you enjoy being with someone, spending time with them? For me, for example, in recognizing what I like in people, I love when people are not beating themselves up. You know, I love when people are actually present in their bodies, with their bodies, in a conversation with you. It really works for me. It's a way that I like engaging with people. A lot of times people aren't present. I don't know if that's ever shown up for you, where you're talking to someone and they're like, they're not even there. And with the 7 steps, there's different ways of bringing them present with you, and inviting them to be present with you, engaging with them. That's really quite fun, and fun to play with. But for some people, for many different reasons, they actually don't like being present, you know? So, one of the things about connecting with you and establishing the connection with yourself is being present with you, is acknowledging what your vibe is, acknowledging what motivates you, what inspires you, what makes you happy, what brings you joy. Step one of the 7 steps is show me the magic, right? When we are willing to really acknowledge what it is that brings sparkles to our eyes, brings a smile to our face, right? Makes our heart beat, and our, soul sing, if you will. Then finding relationships and identifying relationships that contribute to that is much easier, you know? And step two in the 7 steps is about talking to your body, right? Your body will always let you know when someone is, let's say, vibrationally compatible with you, when they sort of make your cells and molecules dance. And also, your body will let you know "Ugh, ugh," when someone is a block for you, when someone makes you contract, you know. Now, there's a lot of times that they're not making us contract. We're just picking up on the fact that they are contracted. And this, your body's telling you, giving you this information. Talk to your body, asking your body, hey, body, are you okay? Is this person, is this relationship actually going to work for us? Your body gives you lots of information about that. There's lots of questions you can ask your body. And don't forget to listen, you know? Listening is something that people forget about a lot in communication. A lot of times people think that communication is just talking to people, just getting your point across, making sure that they understand what you mean, making sure that they get you, right? What if it's not just about that? What if relationship is not just about people getting you, but you getting people? What does that mean? You being willing to listen to people, being willing to hear them also, right? When they're talking, they may not be expressing exactly in words what it is that they would like to communicate. But when you are connected with you and you are talking to your body and listening to your body, then you actually are able to hear what people are saying or not saying, but what they mean. So having that initial connection with you means you never are going into judgment of yourself. You're never doubting yourself. You're never making yourself wrong because there is no one on the planet who does you better than you. Okay. So when you know that you are being you, you're feeling yourself, you're feeling your body, you're listening to your body's communicating with you, you're feeling your energy, your space, your your being, your soul, and you're also feeling your heart, you know, that it's not being crushed by someone. That's very important and it allows you to access a relationship from a different perspective. you know you have to be willing to honor yourself in that way because it's very difficult, if not impossible, to honor someone else if you're not willing first to honor you, right? And people you're in relationship with might have a very different approach to life, and you know what, that's okay. I've just celebrated 20 years of marriage with my husband, and we're different. We have different interests, we have different ways of communicating, we have different friends, we have different approaches to life. That does not mean though that we are not vibrationally compatible, you know so if you're looking for someone who's exactly like you, I know that some people talk about your soulmate, right? And that might be true, but don't think that your soulmate means you're exactly alike. You both might be the yin and the yang. you know you might be the hot and the cold, but together in a relationship, you actually reach a harmony that is congruent, that is actually has a flow to it. You know, so being connected with you is really important. Recognizing who you are is as important as recognizing who you are not. A lot of times, I don't know if it ever shows up for you that somebody says something to you and you immediately go on a defensive posture, put up barriers and get offended and either start, attacking them or reacting to them, or you start going into maybe the wrongness of you, or, judging you, or, oh my gosh, I'm not good, I'm not this, I'm not that, right? That kind of reaction is not really who we are. It's us giving more credence, more value, more importance to someone else. And if you're actually connected with you, then reacting is a choice. Say, if you're connected with you, I feel like going into reaction here. Wow, is that actually going to be a contribution to this relationship? Is it going to be a contribution to me? I don't know about you, whenever I go into reaction, I sort of disappear for it. Might be 1 minute, might be 2 minutes, might be 3 to 5 minutes, it might be 20 minutes, but I'm no longer connected with me, when I'm going into reaction. And I'm not connected with the person I'm going into reaction with. Who knows what we are actually connected to? But when you are connected with yourself, you actually have choice of how you approach a relationship. And this thing about listening, right? Listening to people, hearing them, which is just a little bit different. I don't know if you get the difference for that. You can, in different languages, they have different ways of saying that. But when you are hearing someone, you're hearing not only what they're saying, but also what they're thinking. Oftentimes, people who are very reactive and have these barriers and walls up, right, are really delicious and soft and caring people that perhaps have been abused emotionally in their lives. So they're trying to protect themselves, their softness, and their heart. So if you're willing to hear someone and not just listen to the words, but hear what's coming out of their head, what's coming out of their heart, right? Then perhaps you can find a different approach to the relationship with them that allows them to be in harmony with you, right? And there's a lot of stuff that we play with at 7 steps. It's simple, but it's very practical because your relationships are and communication are part of every moment of your life, especially if you recognize that you have a relationship with yourself, right? We often talk about the me in relation to someone else could be considered the distance, right, between you and someone else, right? But if that relationship is harmonious, it's actually like a communion, an ebb and a flow, right? That allows you to have a harmony with somebody, have a fun, playful, engaging relationship. A lot of times we put on these masks when we're in relationship with someone. Have you ever done that? Have you ever like put yourself behind a veil so that they don't see you? That's a way that we hide who we are. It is not who we are, right? Putting yourself behind a mask, putting up walls and barriers is not who you are. It's in reaction to an atmosphere, right? A city, um, a, a, a room, a group of people. It is not who you are. So once you have this clarity about who you are and who you are not, these walls and barriers, then you can reconnect, right, with people from a very different space. And they perceive that, they perceive your willingness to engage with them and your willingness to actually go that extra mile. I really love people. I really enjoy interacting with people. And I truly believe that this is a capacity we all have. We may have over the years cut off some of those capacities or isolated them or tried to eliminate them. But we can absolutely reconnect with those capacities if we're willing, if we have some easy and some useful and practical steps. And this is what the invitation of the 7 steps to flawless communication, how to connect with you, how to recognize what's not you and disconnect from that, right? And then to reconnect with people from that space there. And this for me is something that changes the world. I love relationships. I love my partner, my husband. I love my family. And I love my friends. I've got a lot of friends, and they're all different, you know? So I never try to force myself upon them, right? I'm always interested in what is it that they know, what is their approach to life that makes them unique, you know? And that for me is what relationships are about, being willing to honor and respect not only you, but then to honor and respect and be curious about how other people see the world and how other people function in the world. So, this sort of third phase of the 7 steps is about reconnecting with people while acknowledging what the components of their life are made up of, right? What are the elements of their life? What are the elements for them that are inspiring? You know, what is it? What are the topics? What do they love talking about? You know, sometimes you'll be with someone and you're having a conversation with them that really does not take them into consideration. If that ever shows up for you, just say to them, I know this is not something you might want to talk about, but if you just give me 5 minutes, I just need to share this. You know, that's acknowledging them. And they're like, okay, I'll give you those 5 minutes. But if you go on and on and on and on and on about something that completely is not of interest to them, then how much is that respecting you? Because it's not really fun to bore someone, although it could be. If you don't want to have a relationship with them, that could be a very good technique. But if you're interested in engaging with them, you have so many different ways to approach the relationship that would be honoring for you, fun for you, exploring something new, and also honoring for them, fun for them, respecting them. And that is sort of a unique connection that you can have with someone, right? How you approach them, they approach you, and how you two interact together. Okay. It's lots of different types of relationships. And I guess on this particular Zoom video, we're talking about relationships with another person, one other person, right? And when you're willing to expand your zone of awareness, you know, when you're willing to learn something new, and that something new may be, wow, this is not really someone or that I'm interested in spending a lot of time with. That's fine. It's not a judgment. It's just a recognition of what works for you, right? That could be expanding your awareness to acknowledge that. But what if you were willing to expand your awareness and see, how is it that they see the world? And how many people have I known that see the world in this way? And I have not been able, up until now, to engage with them because I haven't been willing to see it. You know, so when you reconnect with people from a space of feeling comfortable in your own skin, right, not buying the lie of barriers and walls and veils and masks, that is who you are, then you reconnect as almost like a new bird. I wanted to say a little baby, but a new bird that comes out and is chirping, you know, and is willing to explore things beyond, the initial womb that we, most of us, unless we're clones, come out, clones come out into this world as. And there's so many different personalities, so many different people, so many different perspectives on this planet, in this world, if you're willing to explore the magic of relationships, you can have a variety of people and of relationships in your life, and you will never, ever be bored, because there's something that we all have in common here. Everyone that lives on this planet has that in common. Our home is the same. We live on this planet. So wherever you've ever felt out of place, please know that you are an important part of this world, of this planet. This planet would not exist without you. It wouldn't be the same way. It would be a different vibration, right? And that's step 7 of the 7 steps. It's about connecting, right, to the earth, walking with your feet on the ground. There's something that inspires us when we are aware of this planet. I remember my first time coming to Rome, in this lifetime anyway, right? And I was standing at the Colosseum. I was 21, and something lit up in me that I hadn't necessarily been aware of before, right? Not cognitively aware of. And it was a familiarity with the land here. So I started talking about atmospheres in which you feel comfortable, whether it's a city or a town or a mountain or the sea, right? There are geographical locations also that are familiar to us, have a vibration that is compatible with us. So when you are willing to connect with the earth and recognize the vibration of a land, then communicating with people in that land is something that comes quite easy to you because it is a familiarity for you and it is home. And really, on this planet, there is a variety of vibrations, and each one of those interacts with our vibration in a certain way. And it's the same thing with people, right? So you may not recognize someone as a lover you're interested in, a partner you're interested in, a friend you're used to having. But please know that if you're willing really to use these easy 7 steps, that you can connect with anyone and anything. Oh, yeah, and everyone and everything, if you so desire. So, when we're talking about 7 steps to flawless communication, how could your communication be anything but flawless if you're willing to be connected with you, disconnect from who you are not, reconnect with people from that space, and establish true connection by having the common factor of being present on this planet? And it doesn't mean you have to be with them all the time, but it's a choice. And instead of it being a reaction, a defense, a forced action, right? What if it were a choice? 7 steps to flawless communication with relationship. If you'd like to explore more, I'd be happy to go on and on about it. And one of the things that I've always done, I used to think that I was a bridge between people, because I can recognize the vibration of people who actually would be friends, who would sometimes I've introduced people that have got married, right? Or become really good friends or colleagues in work. when you are willing to see everyone from a space of perfect harmony with you, then you can actually see the truth of them, the truth in their heart, the truth of who they are, the possibilities that you can invite just by being willing to be authentically you and being willing to invite others to do that. And that's what we do with the 7 steps. So come play, come explore, see what is possible beyond any reality you've ever been willing to explore. Thank you so much, Cass Thomas, Coffee with Cass. And I really would love to see you somewhere in the world, in your body, and explore more flawless communication together. Thank you so much for joining. Bye-bye.